happened to me about a year ago. I live in Tokyo, Japan, and live home alone. My mom used to live with me until she died from a seizure. To be honest, I found her death quite odd as she did not have any past health-related issues. We had a caregiver that used to live with us too. She was very polite to us, and used to take care of my mom when I was at work. We both started noticing my mom becoming more ill leading up to her death, but unfortunately we couldn't do anything to help. I'll always remember the date, November 26th, the day I found my mom dead in her room.
Jeez.
Let's just say her funeral was one of the hardest things I've had to go through. One night I was in Shinjuku, basking in the view. Shinjuku is a special ward in Tokyo, the place with the bright neon signs and lights for those of you who don't know. I remember seeing someone staring at me from afar. The person looked like a teenage girl. She was really pale from what I was able to see. She also had a white gown on and she was barefoot. What kind of person comes out in public barefoot? I was a bit creeped out to say the least, but I paid no attention to it. I decided to head back home and ignore whoever that person was. As I approached my street, I noticed someone looking at me from behind a nearby mailbox. I could see a protruding head glaring just above the mailbox. I squinted my eyes, only to see the same creepy girl I saw in Shinjuku. I felt sick to my stomach, as I knew she must have followed me home. The creepy girl then ducked her head from view. I approached the mailbox and I looked behind it. She was gone. I figured she must have went inside the mailbox. I opened the mail slot only to see nothing. At this point, I genuinely felt like I was hallucinating, so I decided to just call it a day and I headed home. The next morning, I head out of my house to go to work, only to hear my name being called by a female. The sounds were coming from the same mailbox I supposedly saw that girl. I approached the mailbox. What I saw next left me trembling in fear. It was the same girl. Her pale arm reached out of the mail slot holding an envelope. She then said, "Take it." I was petrified, but I ended up taking the envelope. I went back home and slammed my door shut. I was confused as to how the hell she knew my name. I opened the envelope, and I saw a disc inside of it. I decided to put the disc in my laptop, only to see a glitchy video playing. I could see my mom and our caregiver. The video said it took place on January the 13th, 2018. The video showed our caregiver putting something inside a bowl of soup. It then showed my mom eating the soup right after. I can see the caregiver watching my mom from behind and doing a cutthroat motion. I was freaking out, but I continued watching. The video then cut to November 26th. November 26th was the day my mom died. It showed my mom laying on the floor while the caregiver stood there watching her. She had a sinister look on her face. The video then cuts to later that day. It showed myself crying while the caregiver had a look of sorrow. I knew it was all fake. The video then cut to a year prior to all this. It showed the caregiver again. You could see her doing the exact same thing with another bowl of soup. She was putting some sort of lethal toxin inside of it. It then showed a girl eating the soup. The girl looked quite familiar. I then realized it was the same girl I saw in Shinjuku. I was terrified out of my mind, but at the same time, I was relieved to have closure. I now know how my mom died. I plan on using this footage as evidence to prosecute the caregiver. The only thing is, how do I explain the girl in the video?